Welcome home, family and fellow citizens of the African Order. I'm here with another video, and the topic of this discussion will be who's the boss? This video is going to be a follow up to my previous one. Because of the conditions that blacks are living under today, I think it's relevant that I do a follow up just to make sure that there's clarity established. You know, um, right now we're in the midst of a pandemic, and it's important that we know where we are so we know what we need to do. And the thing is, if government cannot mandate over the citizens who put him in office, explain to me how a private sector can. So if there's an emergency and something goes wrong and it's affecting the people in the private sector, who do we go to? Do we go to them or do we go to the government? Who's running this ship? As a parent, you have children, and from time to time you may need the services of a babysitter. So what would you do? You select them, you vet them, get references, then get a personal feel for the personality of these people before you leave them in charge of your children. You know, the jobs, the creation of jobs, the employment of the people has always been in the hands of the private sector for as long as this country been in existence. And we've seen no consistency under this establishment. We see hundreds of thousands of people in debt, in poverty, bad credit, underemployed, overworked. Nothing good has come out of this union. And when something go wrong, can we go back to the government to get it straight? Can you imagine coming home and you left your children in the hands of this babysitter, and your child get up off the chair or the couch to try to run over there to you, and before his feet can hit the ground, the babysitter say, "Hold on a second. Did I tell you to get up?" You get back in that chair. What would you do? Would you just sit there and let this babysitter dictate terms and conditions to your child? What is the government doing? If they created this vaccine to give to the people, and then you give the power and authority to the private sector to determine whether or not they can demand the people that come to their businesses take the vaccine. So we have two problems here. First of all, the people should trust the government, and especially in times like this, times of emergency. We ain't got time to be sitting up here trying to decide who should we arm, should we run to for protection, who should we trust, who should we believe. These things should be established already right now, and they're not. And then the mandate, the authority to mandate from the private sector, what limits their power, what limits their authority, how far can they take it? So if a person refuses to take the vaccine and they sitting out here starving to death, when do the government step in and say, okay, they had enough, feed them? Okay, they had enough, give them something to drink. Who is going to do that? This is nuts. And then when the people get upset and revolt, and you run to the government, they sitting there with their hands up. It's not us doing it, it's the private sector. So you got the government with their hands up. The private sector has no fear of the retaliation from the government, and you pay the government taxes, And the private sector is going to turn around and use your tax-paid services, the police, to enforce their will upon the people. Now, it seems to me this is not a fair alignment that we have here. Private sector who don't pay no taxes, the government that get paid by taxes, they are being treated better than the people who actually work and pay the taxes. What does this make sense? You know, so again, who's in charge? Who's running the ship? Where do the government's power end and the private sector's power begin, or vice versa? When is this? You know, but the thing is, the fact of the matter is this: it should be clear that they do not want us on their team. It's just as simple as that. If our position in this country had any value to these people, will we be last in every category in life? Will we be the number one prosecuted people in this country? Will we be the number one incarcerated people in this country? If our value and contribution to this country was anywhere appreciated, would blacks be in the social condition that they in right now? And I'm going to give you an example of how important it is for blacks to start along the process of owning and controlling their own essential businesses and industries. Remember Colin Kaepernick? He had just took the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl like a year before his protest started. And that one act of conscious behavior led to him being blackballed, colluded against, and kicked out of the NFL. So you see, when you in an environment and you don't own or control any of your essential businesses or industries, and there's a question of consciousness, a question of morality, you can't think about your personal being. You can't think about what's best, what's best for you. You can only think about if this decision will negatively impact the people that you work for. Because if it makes the NFL brand look bad because they got you on their team kneeling, exercising your constitutional right, they'll kick you off that team. You have no conscience. You have no morality. Only thing you have is an obligation to your boss, your employer, your job. That's it. We can't keep living like this, people. We cannot keep living like this. Forcing you to ignore the obvious just to keep a job. Making choices between, do I do the right thing or do I keep my job? And you do keep doing this over and over again, it eats you up like a cancer. All because we won't do what's best for us and building our own. So like I said, we're not welcome on this team. So what can we do? Well, we can get a new team. And we can create an alternative that we can embrace and support and change our way of life. Government, you were quiet and silent when private sector was doing what they do. Remain silent and quiet when blacks go about building their own businesses and industries. Our new team, our new purpose should be centered around unity, self-determination, business and industries. We need to create our own schools, to create our own educational mandates. We need to create our own businesses, to create employment mandates, build our own farms, to create our own nutritional mandates, control our finance so we can create economic mandates. If these fools can own a Starbucks and deny everybody in the country access just because they have ownership of a freaking coffee shop, then we can build business and industries around our essential needs and establish mandates over our people. And just like it empowered them over everybody in this country, we can do the same and empower our people to deny anyone the ability to negatively impact our people. That should be our purpose, that should be our mission, and that is my goal for my people. I'm going to end this video here. And if you like this message, please share it. And if you like this content, consider subscribing to this channel. And with this video, as with all my videos, it is for the complete liberation of my people. And I'll see you in my next message. Ashe.